All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little reaction to Kyle Shanahan's Monday press conference. Brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Check them out in Emeryville, Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Get the brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. And also, this video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right, Kyle Shanahan spoke to the media today for the first time since the Niners knocked off the Green Bay Packers. Of course, the Niners getting ready for the Detroit Lions. Sunday, the Niners and Lions go, I believe, 3:30 kickoff at Levi's. The winner goes to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas on February the 11th. The loser season comes to an end. And, of course, the big topic was Deebo Samuel, who hurt his shoulder. A lot of people thought it was a concussion, but it wasn't. It was a shoulder injury. Kyle said the good news is that the shoulder was not broken. So Deebo had a fractured shoulder in the Browns game earlier this year, and he missed 2 weeks because of the fractured shoulder. So he says it was not broken. He says that Deebo is still very much in pain, and he'll see how he feels Wednesday to determine, whether he's going to go or not, or what his status is for Sunday's NFC title game. Kyle said that, if we know he's not available, it absolutely could alter their game plan for Sunday. He's a very unique player. They'll have, if he's in there, they're going to have a game plan that, reflects how they want to utilize him. But if he's not in there, it will probably be a little bit of a different game plan for the 49ers come Sunday. So a candid admission there by Kyle Shanahan. He was asked about, is he happy to have a guy like Chris Conley, a veteran wide receiver, there as a fallback option? And Shanahan said, not just Chris Conley, Willie Snead as well. He said, that's why they're here. The 49ers made sure that they were fortified at wide receiver this offseason. When you look at, the options that they had at wide receiver going into the year, Brandon Ayuk, obviously Deebo Samuel, then you have Juwan Jennings, you have Ray McLeod, who's a return guy, and then they have Chris Conley, who's a veteran, and Ronnie Bell, who's a rookie, and then they also have Willie Snead on the practice squad as a veteran wide receiver, and they also have Tay Martin, who's a young veteran as well that has excellent ball skills. So the 49ers feel fortified at wide receiver, and I think Shanahan's really glad that they opted to pick up a guy like Chris Conley and Willie Snead in the offseason because, these guys are the kinds of guys as veteran players that can go weeks and weeks and weeks and even months without seeing the ball, and yet they're so professional in how they go about their business that you can activate them in any given Sunday, and they can be plugged right in and contribute right away. So it's really unique to have any players like that. To have one would be something, but to have two really puts the 49ers in a unique position. So he was asked his first impressions of the Lions. He said, hey, they're a really good team. He was talking specifically about their defense. And he said, man, their defense runs and hits, and you can see, why they're an attractive group. He mentioned that the 49er personnel department had a lot of interest in a lot of the players that are on that Lions defense right now. He went on to say they have a great O-line, a great quarterback, a great tight end, two great running backs, really strong wide receivers, and a hell of a scheme. So a lot of respect, verbally being paid for sure from Kyle Shanahan to the Lions in every phase of the game. He was also asked about Dre Greenlaw and if he had thought more about Greenlaw's, mistake where he made 2 interceptions and in neither of them did he get down right away. He, ran around, and he said, he said he won't make that mistake again. We tried not to get too, not getting too down on him. He basically said, but he learned his lesson. He understands the importance. And I think more than anything, you just have to, possession of the ball is everything in the NFL. And when you're used to carrying it, somebody can still come from behind and pop it out. And if you're not used to carrying it, you're a liability with the ball in your hands. And that's really what every lineman is offense or defense. That's what every defender is. That's what everybody who's not a wide receiver, a tight end, or a running back really is. They're a liability with the ball in their hands. That's why if you see teams on special teams come up with their hands team, it's almost always comprised of running backs and wide receivers and tight ends. Why? Because they are used to holding the ball, and they hold it tighter and they secure it better than other players. It's not about how big and tough you are. It's not about your experience level. It's about how often do you tote the rock and how well can you carry it and defend it from people who want to take it away from you. And, Dre Greenlaw's just got to remember one thing. When you intercept a pass, you've made the play. That's it. That's the play. You have made the play. Get down. Get down. Give the off. Your job is to get the ball back to the offense. Let them move it. It doesn't matter if you run 15 yards. This isn't the preseason or an early season game where you're like, hey, man, I want to take it to the house. It's my moment in the sun. It's my shot at some glory. Screw the glory. When you're a linebacker and you've intercepted the ball, you have already made the play that you wanted to make. You took the ball away. Get down. Soon as you put your knee down, you're down. And even if somebody comes and rips it out of your hands, it's your team's ball. So you intercept a pass, take a knee, take a quick knee, go down. And if you are going to run with it, man, you better be Larry Zonka. You better have a lock grip, two hands on the ball. None of this carrying it one hand away from the body. Anybody could have popped that out. And if the Niners lost possession there, not only do you lose possession of the ball, if you possess it and make them football move, it's a first down. So if it's 4th and 50 and they go up top and you intercept the pass and you run 3 steps and then fumble it and they recover it, they get a first down. It's a first down where they are. So there's more negative than positive that can come from defenders or linemen running with the football. So if you're a linebacker and you make a pick, you somehow take possession away from the other team, intercept the ball, get down. You pick up a fumble off the turf, get down. I mean, there's very few moments in the game where you want to take that risk of running with it. There are examples of when it's a good idea to run with it. But for the most part, you've already made the play, and only negative can come next. So get down. So Shanahan said Dre will not be making that mistake again on not getting down. He's learned his lesson. Shanahan was asked about Deebo Lenoir and how Lenoir played. And, he was glowing because Lenoir is an incredible player right now. He said he loves the style of how he plays, that he plays at a higher level, that he plays extremely physical, that he's mentally and physically really, really aggressive. And he just went on to say, I love the style of how he plays. And Deebo right now is playing at a really, really high level. Kyle was asked about Ambry Thomas's pass interference, and he just said very simply, you can't grab guys. If there's one thing the 49er young DBs have to learn here in the final 2 games of the year, the NFC title game, and if they get lucky enough to win it, the Super Bowl, is you have to play with poise when the ball's in the air. You cannot grab guys. You just can't. It's a spot foul. The ball's going to, I don't care if it's a 99-yard pass, which nobody can throw at 99, but you know what I'm saying? It's a spot foul. So you absolutely can't grab guys. You have to play with poise when the ball's in the air. Get as close as you can to the guy, turn around and turn your head and look for the ball, try like crazy to bat it out of the sky. If he grabs it, try to grab his arm and punch it loose, but you cannot grab the receiver. You just can't do it. And Kyle added that, you just got to be in better position. So it's not just about being in better position, though. It's about being in better position and keeping your poise under pressure. As a defensive back, you're in an incredibly pressured spot right there. but you can't grab the guy. You just can't. It's a no-win situation. You can't grab the guy. Got to be in better position, and then you can compete like crazy for the ball in the air, but you cannot grab the receiver. Shanahan was asked about Brock Purdy's inaccuracies and why, Brock struggled with some inaccuracies. And the person who asked the question said, hey, was it just the wet conditions? And Kyle said, it was partly the wet conditions. He said both quarterbacks struggled with the precipitation and the wet ball. And then he added that Brock Purdy made some incredible throws as well. I think people forget that Brock Purdy was nearly 7 for 7 on the final drive. And when it mattered most, and as Shanahan said, Purdy was at his best when we needed him most. And so, obviously Purdy's got to play better than that if they're going to win these last couple games. I don't think that even needs to be spoken. But he did rally and play great football in the fourth quarter against the Browns after a rough day. And he did rally in this game after a rough game and played amazing football in the final drive. So, obviously he's got the ability to block out the negative and focus on the next play. What's the most important play? The next play. Kyle was asked if Christian McCaffrey has a quad injury, and he said, it's not an issue of significance in any way. That somebody else in his family actually asked him about it, but CMC has no quad issue of any significance, according to Kyle. He was asked about Eric Armstead. He said that Armstead did a hell of a job. He said the plantar fasciitis injury that he's battling was not an issue for him. And he was able to play a number of snaps, and he felt like he played really well and did a hell of a job, and that the injury didn't get more significant. So all positives on the Armstead front. He was asked by our friend Kyle Posey about, going a lot with empty sets and the impact and why he liked the empty sets. And he said, it spreads a defense out. The quarterback can see it better. He can see where the holes are. He can see where the blitzers are coming from. It just creates a little bit more space out on the field, and it gives the quarterback a little bit more room to operate and a little bit more transparency when he's looking at the defense. So I thought that was interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I know Detroit struggled, or I should say Green Bay struggled to defend the empty sets this year. We'll see if Detroit has the same weakness and if Kyle empties the backfield and flexes out the running back in this game quite a bit. He did it 4 times on the opening drive in this last game. He was asked about the Niner offensive line. He said he felt like they did a real good job. That Green Bay's D-line is very difficult to block, and that overall he liked the job that they did. Now, Green Bay had 5 or 6 hits on the quarterback, but they only had 1 sack. So it wasn't like they were living in the backfield, despite the fact that they do have some really good defensive linemen. He was asked about Juwan Jennings, and he says, it's huge with the loss of Deebo. He said Juwan Jennings always contributes. He always has an impact. He's like, and then he added that he's one of the biggest warriors out there. And I think all Niner fans know that to be the truth. Juwan Jennings is going to play big in big games. The pressure is not going to get to him. He's going to be able to block it out. He's going to make big positive plays. Maybe they're blocks, maybe they're catches, maybe they're fumble recoveries. Maybe it's any number of things, but Juwan is a winner. He's a winner. And he called him one of the biggest warriors out there. And then he was asked about Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator of the Lions. And he just said, it looks like they've got a top defense. They haven't done as much work on studying it yet. So he didn't feel like he could really comment. I don't think he wants to say a lot, at least right now, about, the Lions have some perceived weaknesses on defense for sure, but Kyle doesn't want to comment on that. There's no advantage in commenting on that. He just said, hey, they look like a top defense, and that Aaron Glenn and that defense does a really nice job of complementing what is a really, really good offensive football team that the Lions have. All right, there you go. You are updated from Kyle Shanahan's presser. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Mojo Fantasy for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.